Okay everybody, welcome to our Facebook Live. While we just wait for people to tune in, this is what's happening live now out on the heath. You can see the donkeys down by the pond, grazing the sward. Just the other day when we came up here, the pond had Canadian geese on it. So you can see that the habitat is improving the whole time. Okay. Just give it a few more minutes. We've already got 7 people watching. We've got a few more minutes of just looking around the heath, and then we'll start our little launch video. But this is the beautiful spot that is Cadler Heath Nature Reserve, and it's at the very rear of the farm, which means that we get to try out this amazing grazing project, amazing conservation grazing project. I'm not sure, but it must be one of very few where a city farm is being used to complete conservation grazing type objectives. Maybe the only one in the world, I don't know. But it's got to be a fairly unusual setup to have a nature reserve and a city farm so close together to make this magic happen. You can hear the bird song. We can see birds flittering about. We can see bugs and bees. We can see our grazing superstars. An incredibly peaceful place. Okay, let's get started. I shall pass this to my esteemed camera woman. I've got some notes in case I forget what I'm talking about. Okay, hello everybody, I'm Kate. I'm the manager here at Swansea Community Farm, and I'm here to launch the Grazing is Amazing project. The Grazing is Amazing project is part of the Green Match Fund, so it's one of a few projects across Britain that have been selected to receive double funding for any money raised this week. So we've set a target of £2,500 to be raised by our supporters, local people, those with an interest in the environment, businesses, and that £2,500 will be doubled. So effectively we'll be getting £5,000 for the price of £2,500. So basically there's never been a better week to donate to the farm. So I know a lot of us, it's not been an easy year, but what that has meant for some of us is that we have been going out less. We've been spending less money on going to the pub or social activities or gymnastics clubs or whatever it is that we do. So if any of you do have a little bit of surplus money and you would have normally come here and visited the farm and made a donation, then please do make that today. But first of all, I'm going to tell you about the project and what we're doing. Okay, so the Green Match Fund, there will be a link appearing. I haven't got it at the moment, but there will be a link appearing that you'll be able to follow, and you'll be able to go to our page that explains to you what the project is. But in short, what we're doing is looking to raise money to help feed and care for our conservation grazers. So they're city farm animals, like the goats, like the donkeys, like the pigs, that will be grazing different parts of the heath and farm to keep them in good condition. This is where I've lost my thing again. It's to do with the Big Give. So the Green Match hashtag, the Green Match Fund, is part of the Big Give campaign. So you'll see on their page any donation made there will be doubled. Okay. So next question is, why is grazing amazing? Well, it's amazing for lots and lots of reasons. So one of the big reasons it is amazing is habitat. I mean, if my lovely camera person will point it this way, we can see that there is a mixture of habitat on the heath, and there's a woodland, and then you've got this 11.5 hectares out here of urban heathland. Now, what's happening in this area is the trees are starting to try and spread out of the woodland onto the heathland. Now, everybody thinks that trees are amazing, and they're not bad. I don't mind a tree, but the difference is here, this is a heathland, and it should be kept as a heathland. So the trees that we're seeing around us now, like the willow, like the brambles, like the Himalayan balsam plants that grow in the spring, are actually turning what should be an urban heathland into kind of shrub land, which isn't ideal for the environment and all of the species that live out here. As I'm sure you know, habitats develop, and the creatures that live on that habitat need that habitat to survive. So when big areas of land start to change use, you're going to lose the type of animals and bugs and bees and everything. You know, you've all learnt about food webs in school, and maybe beyond school, but everything relies on something else. So it's really important to keep the habitats as they are. And you can see what the donkeys are doing here, and what the goats do when they're here is they eat the things that shouldn't be here. They also go around and they sort of tread the ground. The grass is cut to different heights by the grazing, and that opens up lots of spaces for wildflowers and the bugs and bees that need the wildflowers, and then of course the bats and birds that need the bugs. So it's this fantastic cycle. There are only 2 urban heathlands in Wales, and this is one of them. It's only 11.5 hectares, and what we've seen in our time here is that gradually we're losing more and more of the heathland, which is a really, really bad thing. So by piloting grazing, we're hoping that we can bring it back. There's a particular couple of plants and flowers here that are particularly important. There's a plant called the devil's bit scabious, which is this wonderful purple flower that we see in sort of late summer and autumn. And it's a really important flower because it only exists on these sort of habitats. We have it in abundance here. It's also the food plant for a rare type of butterfly called the marsh fritillary that we're hoping will be able to be seen here again with better management of the heath. There's also a scabious mining bee, which is reliant on the scabious as a food plant. So there's lots of things, like, you know, you might just be walking around and see a random purple flower while you're here, but actually the random purple flower here is incredibly important to a whole host of species. One of the other big reasons that grazing is really important for climate change is on areas like this. You can see in the distance the areas that aren't grazed, the grasses tend to get quite long and quite dry, and the grasses then are prone to wildfires. And wildfires not only devastate the amazing habitat I've just told you about, but they also release a whole bunch of carbon dioxide into the environment, causing, you know, air pollution and things like that as well. So the grazing reduces the fire risk by a considerable amount. That was the word I wanted. Just checking I've covered that. I think I have. Okay. So who is this good for, is my next line. Well, it's good for everyone. It's good for birds. We'd really like to see more skylark here, and this is the ideal habitat for skylark once it's been grazed. We know that there are lots of common lizards here, and we're hoping that we will start to see signs of grass snakes. We've been building the volunteers here have been building little habitat piles for them so that they'll be encouraged. It is good for the marsh fritillary butterfly that I've already told you about, all of the bugs. Catherine, name some specific bugs. I'm not so good at bugs.
There's a lot of hoverflies out here, and like you said, the solitary bees. There's lots of different species of solitary bee. There's also, I can't think of it, now you put me on the spot, but there's specific beetles for heathland. There's a lot of beetles that specifically like the heathland and the open areas. So that'd be great when like you say, the donkeys walking will leave bare areas of soil, which is great for the beetles as well.
And I remember when I was out here in the summer, we saw lots of crickets. We saw coneheads and different types of grasshopper and crickets. And of course, grasshoppers need something. They need grass. So it's an incredible habitat. You know, you really, start spending time out here and you'll see that it's amazing. Okay, and then what else have I got? People, well-being. Well, okay, this is an amazing space for people. It's been proven that spending time in nature is really, really good for your well-being. This is also an amazing thing for our volunteers. So lots of volunteers that come here because they're having some sort of well-being issue in their life, and by coming and giving to the local community, they start to feel more confident. They start to feel better about themselves. They see real improvements in their health. Some are able to reduce medication, and they create a network of friends and colleagues that really, really help to look after each other. This amazing space also really links us with local housing estates that are nearby. So there's the possibility, or what we can do with local schools, is that we can meet people out there, bring them to the farm, bring them to the heath, and run educational sessions. So it's a fantastic space for not only the people who live around here and are able to walk it daily, but the whole community who could be using it more for their well-being. Okay, what's next on my list? It's good for the environment, of course it is. It's preserving a local green space. It's creating a place where carbon can be absorbed, whilst also providing all of the habitat advantages I just talked about when we talked about wildlife. You know, it's also lovely for people to come to an environment that is so bursting with life, and now has the added, you know, bonus of very cute little conservation grazing superstars. Being around animals is good for people, being around nature is good for people, and it does all of that. I'm supposed to be talking about the environment, I just obviously just love donkeys and people too much. Yes, so the environment, I think I've pretty much covered it, but preserving local green spaces is crucial to climate change. You know, it's really important that we start looking after our green spaces, and that doesn't mean planting trees wherever there's a gap, although it can mean that in some cases. It actually means preserving what we've got. You know, heathlands have developed over thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and they need to be preserved to preserve all of those species. Okay, and this is Earth Day, so happy Earth Day everybody! And you know, if there's something you want to do for climate change today, one of the things you could do is make a donation. So, next thing I'm going to tell you about is who is already pledged, so who has already said they're doing certain things for us to raise money. So, we have a young volunteer who will be walking the highest peak in southern Britain and be doing that sponsored, and that money will go to the Big Give. We have a volunteer here who's forcing his whole family to give up takeaways for a week, so that they put the money into the Green Match Fund, the Big Give Green Match Fund, the farm's page on that, instead of having their takeaways. We've got local businesses who have pledged donations of £250. More info on that will follow. And we've got an amazing local couple who don't want to be named, who have already, have already pledged us £200. So between all of those wonderful people, between your good selves, between all of the activity that we're going to have going on over the next week or so, we're really confident we can reach that 2,500 target. But we do need your help. Your farm, your grazing superstars, they need you. Do we have any questions? It's really hard to see in the bright, beautiful sunshine.
There's a young man called Mark who says they're lovely ponds.
They're lovely ponds.
Lush ponds, he says.
Lush ponds. Oh, Mark, they are beautiful ponds, aren't they? Yeah.
I cannot see any questions.
Is he that young though?
Well.
I think I know a Mark who might think that they're lush ponds.
I think it, yeah. No, Hannah wishes everyone happy Earth Day, which is lovely.
Happy Earth Day, Hannah.
Happy Earth Day, Hannah.
Right, well, if that's it, then instead of standing here with my mouth gaping open on Earth Day, I'm going to go back down to the farm and get some work done. But lovely to see you all. Please donate if you can. Please share this far and wide, and let's make this happen. Our grazing, I need to throw a cap in the air. Grazing is amazing! And it landed in the donkey paddock.